The 2021 NHL expansion draft official protected and available lists are now out by the NHL. So we're going to go through these and take a look at which players are now protected and available for Seattle to take. We'll jump into that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned today, we're taking a look at the official list released here by the NHL of which players are protected and which players are available for the upcoming expansion draft by the Seattle Kraken, which takes place this coming Wednesday. So there's currently a roster freeze in case you're not aware of that. So we will not see any other movement here amongst the NHL teams. The only team that's permitted to make any kind of deals is the Kraken, and any trades that they make or any kind of deals that they make with teams, and to make take a special player or something, that will all be announced at the time of the expansion draft. So obviously, it's going to be quiet when it comes to actual activity, but it's probably going to be lots of speculation over the next few days on how this is going to go down. So we're going to jump onto the computer. I'm going to show you the document here from the NHL, and we're going to go through these official lists and talk about which players are available. All right, so as you can see here, the NHL Public Relations Department has officially released the full list of all the players that are protected and available here for the expansion draft. So as you can see, this is indeed the document released today, July the 18th, 2021. So with the Seattle Kraken, let's scroll through here and have a look. Now, Anaheim protected Delorier, Jones, Lundestrom, Raquel, Silverberg, Steele, and Terry up front, as well as Fowler, Lindholm, and Manson on the back end, and goalie John Gibson. Not too many surprises there. So on the blue line, you've got a guy like Kevin Shattenkirk available, Brendan Gooley, Hayden Fleury, newly signed Alex Volkov up front is a possibility, Sonny Milano, Adam Henrique, Dayton Hine, and Derek Grant. Of course, the UFA, Ryan Getzlaf. Another thing, I urge you not to get too concerned over UFAs, because now keep in mind, Seattle also has to take, many of these players have to be under contract. There's only allowed so many that need to be signed, and there's very limited what they can do there. So most players that are UFA are not going to go. There might be a couple, but there won't be many. On to Arizona. They've protected Lawson Krause, Christian Dvorak, Connor Garland, Clayton Keller, Phil Kessel, Johan Larsson, and Nick Schmaltz. On defense, they've protected Capobianco, Chychrun, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson, along with goalie Darcy Kemper, who we thought was going to be traded, but it turned out not to be. So looking at the available list here for the Coyotes, you got Brassard, who's the UFA, Michael Bunting's an interesting option, John Hayden's another one, the newly acquired Andrew Ladd, who likely will not be taken, of course. And of course, you get some UFAs in there as well, like Chalmerson and Goligoski, etc. Now you got the goaltender Joseph Coronar that they just acquired from San Jose. So nothing too crazy there in Arizona. Onto the Boston list, of course, nothing too surprising here. You got Bergeron, Coyle, DeBrusk, Frederick, Marchand, Pasternak, and Craig Smith up front. And then that gives you Carlo, McAvoy, Grzelcyk on the back end with Danny Vladar being the goalie. Now, Jeremy Swayman is exempt. I see lots of talk online about Swayman. You don't have to worry about him. He cannot be included in this if they wanted to. Now, on the available list for the Bruins, though, that does leave some interesting options. You get some UFAs, of course, like Taylor Hall, for example. Nothing too surprising there, David Krejci, but they're likely not going anywhere, at least not through this. You get Nick Ritchie, who's one of the more interesting names, Sean Corrali, Curtis Lazar. There's certainly one of the more interesting options. On the back end, you've got Jeremy Lauzon, Zboril as well. Stephen Kampfer's gone to the KHL, so he's not going to be picked. Connor Clifton is a possibility. So lots of your Boston list. Again, nothing surprising really too much there. Buffalo, they decided to protect Asplund, Bjork, Eichel, Middlestat, Olofsson, Reinhart, and Tage Thompson. On the back end, they protect Ristolainen, Dahlin, and Yokoharu, along with UFA goalie Linus Ullmark. So obviously they're hoping to keep Ullmark. Available, that creates a guy like Cody Eakin. Of course, he went through the Vegas expansion. Kyle Okposo, not a big surprise there. We knew Jeff Skinner waived, so that's another option, but likely because of the contract not going anywhere. And you have Colin Miller on the back end, Jake McCabe, who I believe is going to expire in contract as well. So again, nothing too crazy out of Buffalo, but we're going to get to a lot of the bigger stuff here now. Calgary leaves open Captain Mark Giordano as we suspected. So they protected Tanev, Hannafin, and Anderson on the back end. Jacob Markstrom on goal, no surprise there. Kachuk, Monahan, Mangiapane, Lindholm, Gaudreau, Dylan Dubé, and Michael Backlund up front. So that exposes Milan Lucic, who waived his no move. Of course, it exposes Brett Ritchie, Shillington, and Giordano on the back end. And then, of course, you get Louis Domingue and Tyler Parsons between the pipes there. So nothing too crazy except for Giordano. I really think he's going to get picked, in my opinion. Only time will tell here. Now, Carolina had some interesting options here as well. Now, Carolina protected on the back end, Slavin, Pesce, and Shea. I thought they might leave Shea open and protect Jake Bean. They did not. They protected RFA goalie Alex Nedeljkovic. Up front, they protected Trocheck, Teravainen, Svechnikov, Stahl, Warren Foegele, Jesper Fast, and Sebastian Aho. Now, I thought they might leave Foegele open because they're likely going to move him anyway. But obviously, they feel he has trade value. So you get UFA defenseman Dougie Hamilton, who could be the pick if they sign him. That's one of those scenarios I wouldn't rule out. Jake Gardner's available, Jake Bean, and of course, Nino Niederreiter was more of the surprising one. And then, of course, you get Brock McGinn, who's needing a new deal too. And he's rumored to likely be on the move, possibly Jordan Martinook as well. But here you're going to have Dougie Hamilton could be signed, or they're going to end up taking probably Jake Bean, or they might take Niederreiter. I don't know. I guess they're likely thinking Niederreiter won't be picked. I am assuming here, but interesting nonetheless from the Hurricanes. Chicago, they protect Lankin in between the pipes. Caleb Jones, Connor Murphy, and Riley Stillman on the back end. That's a little surprising. That's not quite the way I had it in the mock draft the other day. We've got Jonathan Taves, Dylan Strome, Kane, Kampf, Hagel, DeBrincat, and Henrik Borgstrom up front. So it leaves open Brett Connolly, Ryan Carpenter, Adam Gaudette. You've got Zach Smith, who's not likely going to play again, so he's probably not going to be picked. You get Calvin DeHaan, Nikita Zadorov. I thought they would protect Zadorov and maybe expose Murphy, but that's not what they decided to do here. And of course, between the pipes, you got Delia and Subban. So a little bit of a surprise there, but nothing too shocking. Colorado. Now, the Avalanche have protected Grubauer, even though he's a UFA. They protected Makar, Gerard, and Taves, which is no surprise after trading Graves. You got Rantanen, O'Connor, Nichushkin, McKinnon, Kadri, Jost, and Burakovsky. Now, I thought O'Connor might be available, and he was my pick in the draft we did yesterday. But obviously, that exposes a few options here on the Avalanche. Now, we know that JT Compher's available, Jonas Donskoy. They did leave Landeskog unprotected here, but he's a UFA again, so if Seattle wants to pay him the huge dollars, then maybe they get him, but otherwise, probably not. Then you get Brandon Saad, who's a UFA as well. And then you've got the defenseman Eric Johnson had waived. And then, of course, between the pipes, Dubnik's on an expiring deal. Then you got Jonas Johansson is a goalie that's signed there as well, along with Miska. So nothing too shocking there with the Avalanche, but I thought they might protect Compher over O'Connor, but I guess not. On to the Jackets. Now, the Jackets protect Atkinson, Bjorkstrand, Jenner, Laine, Nyquist, Robinson, and Roslovic. And on the back end, you got Jones, Werenski, and Gavrikov with Korpisalo between the pipes. So nothing too surprising there. The one surprise is Max Domi. I thought a guy like Eric Robinson would be available and that they would protect Domi, but I guess they're thinking because of his upcoming surgery, and he's not going to be ready to start the season, that Seattle may shy away from him. I guess that's their intent here. But at the same time, I wonder if they wouldn't be completely unhappy losing him anyways. But that's going to be an interesting choice. I mean, yes, he's not going to be ready for day one, but he's still a decent player that, could be available. So, of course, on the back end, that gives like Harrington, Delzato. Delzato, I believe, needs a new deal anyways. And then you've got Stenlin up front along with Domi. So there's not a lot of great options there, but Domi could be an interesting one. Dallas. Now, of course, we saw them make a trade yesterday with Dickinson. So they protected Ben, Faxa, Gurionov, Hintz, Pavelski, Radulov, and Seguin. A lot of those guys have no move clauses too. And then you've got Heiskanen, Klingberg, Lindell on the back end, and Anton Hudobin. So, of course, Bishop waived his no move clause to be exposed. So Ben Bishop's available. And, of course, you got some UFA and RFA defensemen there. I'm not sure who's going to be potential selection here from Dallas, especially now that Dickinson's gone. You got Blake Como, who's got a lot of experience. Dowling, Tanner Kero. So nothing too, crazy here. I think the Stars have protected themselves relatively well by making that trade yesterday. On to Detroit. They've protected Bertuzzi, Ernie, Fabry, Larkin, Rasmussen, Smith, and Verana up front, and then Hronik, Leddy, and Gustav Lindstrom on the back end, along with goalie Thomas Greiss. So obviously that does expose Troy Stetcher. That to me is surprising. I really thought Troy Stetcher would be protected. So you never know. He could be the pick for them. It kind of gets him back close to home where he's from the Vancouver area. Otherwise, you've got not a lot here that's really overly, attractive. Maybe Svechnikov. I'm getting Svechnikov's a possibility. They exposed Shalowski into Kaiser, Christian Juice. Juice is going overseas anyway. So nothing too shocking or surprising, but I'm a little surprised on Stetcher. I will say that. Edmonton, they've protected Archibald, Draisaitl, Cassian, McDavid, Nugent Hopkins, Puljujarvi, Yamamoto, and Bear, and Duncan Keith and Darnell Nurse. Skinner between the pipes because Mike Smith's unsigned, and Koskinen they don't want. So Koskinen's available, so is Alex Stalock. You got Chris Russell, UFA Adam Larson's in there, as well as Oscar Klefbom. You got Kyle Turris is available. James Neal, no big surprise there. Dominic Cahoon, I thought they might protect Cahoon, to be honest. That one's a little bit surprising. Tyler Benson's another possibility here for the Kraken. I thought they might protect one of those guys over Archibald, but we'll see. On to Florida. Florida protects Barkov, Bennett, Duclair, Hornqvist, Huberdeau, Mason Marchment, and Carter Verhaeghe. And on the back end, you got Uyghur, Ekblad, and Forsling, and Bobrovsky between the pipes. Of course, Dreger's expected to be the pick here since he's a UFA. Seattle's expected to sign him, so they're probably not too concerned. But that also leaves open a guy like Ryan Lomberg, Vetrano, Walmark. They're not too concerned there. Gudis on the back end, Nudavara, Montour is a UFA, Strawman, who they'd like to move on from as well. So again, they're probably not too worried because they know it's likely Dreger that's going. On the LA Kings here, they protect Elias Anderson, Victor Arvidsson, Dustin Brown, Iafallo, Kempe, Kopitar, and Trevor Moore. That leaves Doughty, Matt Roy, and Walker on the back end, and Peterson between the pipes. So Jonathan Quick is indeed available as we expect it. That leaves Christian Wolanin available, who's an interesting option on D. Same with McDermott, Ollie Matta, Cal Clegg. So some more options there. Brendan Lemieux, Carl Grunstrom, Athanasiou. So some interesting options there. Some from LA. They know they can only lose one, and they're just kind of putting it out there, giving Seattle a good option, and they're not too concerned, I don't think, on who goes. Minnesota, they protect Eric Sinek, Fiala, Foligno, Greenway, Hartman, Nico Sturm, and Matt Zuccarello. Back end is Brodin, Dumba, and Spurgeon with Talbot in the net. I thought Kakkonen would get the protected nod here and that Talbot would be available given the age gap, but not so much. Obviously, they're more concerned about losing Talbot here. So that's an interesting, another young goaltender available for the Wild. You get Carson Soucy on the back end as well as available. Another interesting choice. You got Victor Rask, no big surprise there. And then you guys like Bukestad up front as well. Johansson, who's needing a new deal. So I'm not sure what they do in Minnesota, but it's surprising that Kakkonen's available. Now, Montreal, of course, we got the bombshell last night that Carey Price was not being protected. Now we know the official list here. Up front, they went with Josh Anderson, Yoel Armia, Jake Evans, Gallagher, Kotkaniemi, Lehkonen, and Toffoli. And, of course, you get the big three that's left after Weber. So you get Sherratt, Edmondson, Petrie, and Jake Allen. So, of course, Weber's exposed because he's not expected to play next year, possibly ever again. Carey Price waives his no move. So, big things happening in Montreal. On top of that, you've got a few other options here, like Paul Byron. Philip Deneau's a UFA. I mean, maybe, but unlikely. You get Jonathan Drouin. It's a possibility. He's got some term on his contract. Cale Fleury, young defenseman. Brett Kulak. So going to see what happens here. I know a lot of people are saying you can't not take Price, but there's some that saying that the contract's too much, and we'll find out in a few days. Now, before we jump any further into this, I do need to pause for a moment and acknowledge our channel sponsor, Manscaped. Top Shelf Hockey is proud to be sponsored by Manscaped. Of course, with Manscaped, we have a special offer here for all Top Shelf Hockey viewers where you can get 20% off and free shipping on all orders at manscaped.com. Now, of course, Manscaped just launched a brand new Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, which is a fantastic product. They've taken the level up here. Even again with the skin-safe replaceable blades, it's waterproof, it's wireless charging, has a travel lock on it, as well as a nice light so you don't miss what you're doing. So certainly a terrific product. Now, many people associate Manscaped with their trimmers, which is certainly kind of their top product, but they do have a lot of other great options as well, including what they call the Weed Whacker, which is another trimmer for your ears and nose. And they have a variety of deodorants and sprays as well, which also keep you fresh and are terrific as well. So certainly Manscaped has a lot to offer, and we certainly highly recommend all of their products. So check out manscaped.com and use promo code TSH for 20% off and free shipping. So thanks very much for watching that video. Let's jump back into today's content. On to Nashville. Nashville was the most unique here. They went with 8 skaters and ended up protecting 5D. So they've only got Philip Forsberg, Tanner Jeannot, and Luke Kunin up front, and that's it. There's some big names available in Nashville. You get Alex Carrier, Ekholm, Fabro, Yossi, the newly acquired Myers, and then UC Saros between the pipes. So Nashville is exposing Nick Cousins, Matt Duchene. You got Grimaldi, you've got Yarncroke, Johansson. They got all kinds of players here. Borietsky, between the pipes, you've got Connor Ingram's another interesting young goaltender. Now, Kazimir Kaskisio, he's going back overseas. He's going to be playing, I think it was Sweden he's going to play for a couple of years. So some big names in Nashville. They're definitely, I know David Poyle said this is not a rebuild, but I'm not sure what you call it when you move some core pieces like they have recently, like Ryan Ellis, who was traded. And now look at all they're available here. That's crazy. Nashville, they protect Bratt, Heischer, Kukkonen, McLeod, Sharangovich, Miles Wood, and Pavel Zacha. On the back end, they protect Graves, Severson, and Siegenthaler as suspected, along with Blackwood between the pipes. So that exposes PK Subban. That exposes Colton White. That exposes Wedgwood, which is not a shocker there. Will Butcher's another one. So that's, some surprising blue liners in a way. I thought before the trade, of course, I thought Butcher would be protected, but of course now, not so much. And of course, Andreas Janssen up front. That's another interesting name too to watch. So New Jersey's got some decent names out there. On the Islanders, they made some surprising moves too. They protected Barzal, Beauvillier, Clutterbuck and Lee, Martin, Nelson, and Pajot. And on the back end, Pellick, Pullock, and Mayfield with Varley between the pipes. So that exposes a lot here. You got Bailey, who's available, Bellows, Eberle. You got Ross Johnston. You've got Komarov, Kovila. The newly acquired Richard Panik would not be surprised there. Of course, you get some UFAs like Palmieri, Zajac. Andy Green signed a contract last minute to get the protected list requirements under wraps here, so he's a defenseman available. He likely won't get picked. And Ken Appleby between the pipes, an interesting choice. It's likely doesn't get picked. So some interesting ways to go about this. So exposing both Bailey and Eberle. I thought Eberle would be exposed. Didn't think Bailey would be. Rangers protected Buchnevich, Hedel, Kreider, Panarin, Rooney, Strome, and Zibanejad with Lindgren, Trouba, and Hayek between on the back end here, and Georgiev between the pipes. So that gives us available Colin Blackwell. It gives Julian Gauthier. Of course, they got the newly acquired Barclay Goodrow, who's technically a UFA. You've got Tony DeAngelo, who they're hoping Seattle will take, so they don't have to buy him out, but probably won't happen. Then, of course, you got Kincaid as the goalie here. So I think they're protected relatively well. I mean, Blackwell to me is probably going to be the pick, but we'll see. Ottawa had some interesting choices here too, but nothing too shocking. They protected Batherson, Brown, the other Brown, Logan Brown, that is, Nick Paul, Brady Tkachuk, Austin Watson, and Colin White. They protected Shabbat, Mete, and Zaitsev on the back end, along with Philip Gustafson between the pipes. So they do expose Matt Murray. They do expose Anton Forsberg, Joey Decord. So 3 goalies to pick from there. Defenseman Josh Brown, centerman Chris Tierney, another option who could be potentially picked up, and the newly signed last year of getting Dadonov, who didn't really work out the best. So we'll have to see here what happens in Ottawa, but some interesting big names there too. Now, Philadelphia also made some interesting choices, protecting Aubé-Kubel, Couturier, Giroux, Hayes, Konechny, Lawton, and Lindblom. So that leaves some big names in the forward group open. You got the newly acquired Ryan Ellis, Ivan Provorov, and Travis Sanheim on the back end, and goalie Carter Hart. So that leaves open for the Philadelphia Flyers James Van Riemsdyk. That leaves Jake Voracek open. That's another big name. Shane Gostisbehere, Robert Hagg. You get some goalies there, which are probably not going to be the pick for them anyways. Samuel Morin. Some real interesting options here. Justin Braun. Like, really, I didn't think the JVR and Voracek would both be available, but I guess they know they're only going to lose one, and they're going to give Seattle the pick of the option here. So we'll see, but I don't know. Will the Flyers get lucky when those big contracts go? Now, Pittsburgh also had some tough choices to make. Now, there was rumors yesterday that Tristan Jarry was going to be made available, and that turned out to be false. So Jarry was protected, along with Dumoulin, Letang, and Matheson on the back end. You get Teddy Bluger, Jeff Carter, Sidney Crosby, Jake Gensel, Kasperi Kapanen, Malkin, and Rust up front. So that exposes the Smith as the goalie. It exposes Marcus Pettersson, Mark Friedman on the back end, along with Rubiedel, Ricola. Up front, you got Brandon Tanev's available, Jason Zucker, another option there. Like, that's some good names. Like, you get the Aston Reese. Pittsburgh's going to lose a good player here, no matter how you shake it. I'm surprised. I thought they would protect Tanev, but not so much. San Jose protects Balsers, Couture, Dolan, Hurdle, Kane, LeBanc, and Meyer. Back end, they did protect Burns. I'm surprised at that. Burns, Carlson, Vlasic with Aiden Hill between the pipes. So they exposed Martin Jones. They expose, you got Patrick Marleau's a UFA again. He's probably not going anywhere. Dylan Gambrell's probably the pick. Curtis Gabriel, Ryan Donato available. I mean, they don't have a lot here that they had to worry about. Simic on the back end, maybe. Hard to say who they pick. St. Louis, they protect Barbashev, Kyrou, O'Reilly, Perron, Shen, Sunkvist, and Thomas. Falk, Kruger, Parayko on the back end, and Jordan Binnington, so no big surprise there. But they did expose Tarasenko, which is surprising given the fact that they should have some good trade value there. Obviously, Scandella is available as well. Vince Dunn, UFA Jaden Schwartz, Zach Sanford's available. UFA Mike Hoffman, UFA Tyler Bozak, Sammy Blades available. All kinds of options here for St. Louis to lose a pretty high-profile player, but we'll see if Seattle will bite on Tarasenko or not. On to Tampa, they also left some big names open. They went with 8 skaters and protected Cirelli, Kucherov, Point, and Stamkos, along with Chernak, Hedman, McDonough, and Sergachev. Vasilevsky between the pipes. So that exposes some good options here. You get Cal Foote, Jan Ruda on the back end that are signed. Freddie Claesson signed. Of course, up front, you've got some real interesting options like Andre Palat. You've got Alex Killorn, Matthew Joseph, Tyler Johnson, Yanni Gord, Blake Coleman's a UFA. You got Ross Colton, who scored this cup-winning goal, and some young guys there too. So all kinds of options. Like, to me, if I'm Seattle, I'm not taking Tyler Johnson because there's too many good options here. I know Johnson's been the name all along, but to me, they have to go in a different direction here. Or if they want them to take Johnson, they're going to have to make an expensive side deal because there's just too much to pick from. The Maple Leafs, now they protected 8 skaters as well. So they went with the big 4, Matthew Marner, Tavares, and Nylander, Brody Hall, Muzzin, O'Reilly, and Campbell. I'm surprised here. I thought Dermott would get protected over Hall, but not so much. So Travis Dermott's available. That's, not a huge shocker, but a little bit. You got Hutchison's going to be the main goalie there, that they're not going to take him. Of course, on the back end, besides that, there's mostly all UFA guys here. You got Bogosian, Hutton, all need contracts. Some younger guys there, or AHL guys that are not going to be selected. You got Simmons, Spezza. You've got Jared McCann, who was newly acquired. Now, some say, well, why would they pick him up and not protect him? Because they figure it's either going to be him or Alex Kerfoot that is the pick. And they're okay with losing one or the other. So he was basically brought in as being Kerfoot's replacement. And if Kerfoot's not picked and he goes instead, then they keep Kerfoot. They're fine either way. So it makes sense to go this way and protect an extra defenseman. At Vancouver, they protect Besser, Dickinson, Horvat, Miller, Mott, Pearson, and Pedersen, along with Ulevi, Myers, and Schmidt on the back end, and goaltender Thatcher Demko. So nothing too shocking there. So Braden Holtby's available. A lot of the interesting D are UFAs. You get Madison Bowie signed. You got Virtanen's available. No shock there. Cole Lynn could be the pick maybe. Highmore, Erickson. Erickson's probably definitely not going to be selected here. Beagle, Boyd, all kinds of options there. Hard to say who goes. Roussell's another one. Probably going to be Cole Linwood if I had to pick right now, or maybe they make a deal to get Holtby. Washington protects Backstrom, Eller, Kuznetsov, Mantha, Oshie, and Sprung, along with Tom Wilson, Carlson, Orlov, and TBR. So, yes, they protect Trevor Ramsay over Justin Schultz or Brendan Dillon. And then you get Samsonov between the pipes. No big surprise there. So Vanecek's available. Could be the pick. And then you got Schultz between on the back end here, Nick Jensen and Brendan Dillon. Connor Sherry up front. I thought he might be protected. Of course, Ovechkin's UFA. They're not worried about that. And then, of course, you got some other players here like Hathaway and some others that are probably not going to be the pick, but some interesting choices on the blue line there for them. Then you get Winnipeg. Now, Winnipeg protected Connor, Kopp, Dubois, Ehlers, Lowry, Scheifele, Wheeler, and then Morrissey, Pionk, and Stanley. Just like we suspected, that exposes Dylan DeMello, and of course, Hellebuyck between the pipes. So DeMello's available. You got Tucker Pullman on the back end too. You got also you have some forwards here that are somewhat interesting, like a Mason Appleton especially. So to me, it's going to be Appleton or DeMello that goes in Winnipeg. Hard to say, but I know they were rumored to possibly be shopping Appleton yesterday, so they must feel like he's going to be the pick. But it wouldn't shock me here if it was DeMello. So those are the list of the official players that are available here to the Seattle Kraken. There certainly is a fair bit of superstar talent, some big names, some big contracts as well. It's certainly going to be very, very interesting to see how the Kraken proceed here. So let me know what your thoughts are down below and who they will select. I will likely take this list and do an official mock draft now that we have those official players that are officially available sometime here before the expansion draft to see what my predictions are. So give me yours in the comments and we'll discuss further. If you're new to to the channel. Make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the latest news and rumors on all 32 NHL teams. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.